Wizard101 is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, or MMORPG, developed by KingsIsle Entertainment. In fact, it's my favorite MMORPG from my childhood, having been responsible for making sparks fly in my young imagination. Growing up as a music nerd, I was lucky to have become so immersed in a video game with such a fantastic soundtrack thanks to the excellent Nelson Everhart, the game's composer since its conception in 2008. In this video, I'll be analyzing the phenomenal and effective characteristics of the combat theme from La Vie Rose and how it synthesizes with Wizard101's gameplay and story. Before I get into my analysis of the music, I believe this essay requires some background information on the game itself to fully understand the context of the piece. The player is a young child brought from Earth to the Spiral, the universe that Wizard101 takes place in. More specifically, Merle Ambrose, the headmaster of Ravenwood Academy and general leader of Wizard City, scouts out the player and brings them to Wizard City where the player begins their story. Ambrose enrolls you into Ravenwood Academy to begin studying magic, but there's a sinister problem with the monsters in Wizard City that he wants you, the young new prodigy, to solve. After your successes in Wizard City, you basically become a child soldier sent to all different kinds of worlds to put a stop to their threats with your increasingly powerful magic. Your character levels up, saves a bunch of worlds, probably suffers a whole lot of trauma from the treachery of saving said worlds, and enters Novus, the world released in 2022. For the most part, up until this point, the threats have been compartmentalized across each of the past 19 or so worlds. However, the player now progresses into Novus, a new world not only in the meta sense that it's the newest area released in the game, but it has literally just been forged by the hands of our main antagonist, Design, canonically. With a fragmented sense of reality where dreams and actuality are blurred, Design has brought together pieces of other empires around the Spiral, yet there's something not quite right about how it all came together. La Vie Rose, one of the many areas within the world of Novus, is in the spotlight for this essay, as I believe the theme heard here during combat best captures this mystical sense of existentialism. So right off the bat, the piece starts off with this triumphant fanfare. It's almost like an army is being led into war, and there's a lot of chromatic movement. These opening chords are shifting back and forth in half steps, and phenomenally in the score, it's not exactly obvious what key we might be in, but subliminally my ear was drawn to E flat at the very beginning, and it's just kind of shifting back and forth, almost like an unsettled rocking boat. Like it's trying to find its way, but it's not quite latching onto anything solid. There's a measure of transition-ish that I am feeling in the relative minor and C minor before we have these arpeggios that are highlighted. These arpeggios, they flow seamlessly into one another. However, they are not indicative of a stable key, so it's again just showing that shifting tonality, kind of like something is trying to settle into its place, but it can't exactly find where it needs to go. Furthermore, following the theme of political unrest, which is very present in each of the worlds that are being used to create Novus, the fanfare directly contributes to that, and I previously said it sounds like an army is being led into war. It's because our character will soon see that these empires are at a state of political unrest, and so I think that is how the timbre relates to the story, what's actually happening in the game. Moving on to our second page here, we see more of the same themes developed. We have the same motif happening, it's in different tonalities, from A to B flat, back into C minor, where we really tonicize C minor, going back and forth between 1 and 4 in that tonic zone. And being a combat theme, I think it's very appropriate that we're shifting around so much, and it's very epic sounding, because this is meant to showcase any variety of conflicts that could come at the character at any time. And the meter shows this as well. We have a ton of syncopation throughout the entire piece. We're in a simple meter, but basically everything is on the offbeat. All of the melodies on the offbeat. We have a lot of supporting chords, but we see a ton of 8th notes that are off the beat, 16th notes off the beat that show this. After a very brooding transition, still in C minor, we cut into a different fanfare that takes us into the parallel major, C major, and this is the Polaris theme. Now Polaris is one of the previous worlds that is being used to form Novus from fragments of it, and so this is where a lot of the main political conflict comes from, and it really sounds like the world is glitching in and out of the fragments and then the full world. After we cut out of Polaris and we come back into the Novus theme, the tempo is staying the same, so we can tell that this is one coherent world, but it's just a little bit screwed up. So there is a coherent flow to it, but there's also some abrupt, metrically dissonant things that are happening. Lastly, on this page, towards the end, we have a bitonal chord. It's C minor put right up against B flat major, so we're right in half steps right up against each other, and I think that even further shows how these two worlds, two plus worlds, there are more that aren't heard in this piece, but how Polaris, in this case, is being featured as being just kind of smushed together with other fragments to create this new world. And finally, we get an even longer sample of the Polaris fanfare, showing its extended use in the creation of Novus. We get some glitching, or what sounds like glitching to me, syncopations cutting in and out, a lot of triplets, like it's very abrupt, very jolting, like we're very unstable, cutting back and forth between these two worlds, really unsure what's going on. And then we have a transition that will loop us back into the beginning of the piece.